right, we're back live in the studio here at WLCN. The program is Viewpoint, the program of personalities, politicians, and perspectives. And if you will note, those of you who are viewing this here later in the afternoon and maybe sometime at midnight or hence down the road, since we will be on the tube later on, to my right is Angie Whiteman, wife of our former Lincoln College coach and also a former member of the college faculty, has graciously agreed to sit in and take Judy Busby's place, for which we thank you very much, Mrs. Whiteman.
My pleasure.
Now, as regards financing, John, all colleges, of course, as we all know, the engine is driven by the students and what's known as tuition.
Sure.
And it's very difficult in these times. All colleges are facing the problems. When it's in our own backyard, it's a little tougher. And President Blackburn has come aboard at a difficult time and didn't stand around and twiddle his thumbs and say, oh dear, what are we going to do? John, with his business background and acumen, they're taking steps, and in conjunction with a very dedicated board, are trying to solve some problems up there. So what would be the most important thing that we can do besides getting new students in, John?
Well, actually, Bill,
we've had to have some cuts, which we really, really regret taking.
Yeah, and when I think of the things that drive our ability to perform at the highest level and take advantage of any opportunities, it is to make sure our revenues are at a level that allows us to provide all the services and all the attention that our students need. We need to, just like in business, it's all about customers. Mm-hmm. At a college, it's all about students. Mm-hmm. It's not about administration. Certainly, we couldn't do it without faculty and staff, but it's about the students. And so we have to balance the cost of our particular colleges against many times community colleges or other private schools. So we have to provide a value. And our value proposition is we're going to give you a lot of attention. We're going to put you in classes that are not so large that you get lost. And the parent and the student has to feel that they're getting full value for the money they spend. But we have challenges, and really it does, Bill, come down to enrollment. Mm-hmm. If we fall short of enrollment goals, then we put stress on our revenue numbers, mm-hmm. and so we've been working hard. I told the board and the faculty and staff that my number one priority in my first 12 to 24 months would be to assist in stabilizing enrollment. Mm-hmm. And we're not. This is not unique to Lincoln College. I mean, if you read the papers and what happened around us, every school in our area here in Central Illinois had fewer freshmen this year than the year before. Even the University of Illinois and Illinois State, who hit their enrollment targets, did not do it with their freshman class. They had higher transfer numbers than in the past. Two things going on there. One is, I think the economic times are causing people to reevaluate just what you mentioned earlier. Does my son or daughter fit a college environment? Are they going to benefit and have the ability to compete in college and then afterwards be able to get a job? Or should they be going to technical school or some other place? Mm-hmm. I think the technical schools are actually growing right now.
Yes.
And some of the other, in our area, the colleges and universities, and even for the first time this year, some of the community colleges saw declining enrollments. Now, part of that is the economy, as I said. Part of it is there are fewer juniors and seniors right now in Illinois than there were a few years ago. And that trend started in about 2008 and will continue to decline slightly each year until 2014. Then it starts to go back up. Mm-hmm. Now, that doesn't sound like a big deal, but when we're all competing for students, it becomes a pretty serious issue. And as Eastern closed 8 dorm floors this year. Western's down about 300 students. Heartland was down almost 5%. First time they've ever been down in their 21 or so year history. So that enrollment stabilization is critical, and it's not just about admissions. And I think that's what Angie and I were talking off the air about. It's just as much about retention of students. It's bringing the right student in who can be successful, making sure that that's the case, and then doing everything we can to make their college experience a positive thing that they want to continue. And it's everybody's job at the college. It's not just the faculty's job. It's certainly not just the administration's job. It's everybody's job, because all of us have something every day we do to affect that student experience. If you're in admissions, if you're in financial services, financial aid, or if you're, part of the business office, or the staff that cleans the dorms and makes sure that things run right.
And we do have a great staff.
We have a great staff and terrific leaders in all of those positions, but that's all part of retention, and our retention numbers are not where we want them to be. Now, we do occasionally take an at-risk student, and maybe conditionally accept an at-risk student, which is going to have a higher turnover rate when you accept a few of those students, and we have at times. This year we declined more applications than ever in our modern history, and because we don't believe we should be encouraging students who we aren't confident have a real chance at success to pay tuition, to take loans, to come to school and maybe leave with debt, and not we have to believe their chances are great that they will get a degree and move forward. It's not our responsibility, it's theirs, but we should evaluate their capabilities and how they've performed in the past, and often what someone's done in the past is a pretty good predictor of the future. If you find people who have been successful at something, they often will find a way to be successful at whatever they do. So it's a complicated game we're playing in admissions. And this particular year, Rick Samuels, our new Vice President of Admissions and Student Services, and I have decided we need to roll our sleeves up and get right in the middle of that. And so, as an example, yesterday and the day before, I was with one of our admission counselors that serves the northwest and western suburbs of Chicago, and we were visiting high schools and talking to counselors, and they don't often see the president.
And you're right in there going into the high schools with the counselors.
Yeah, I think we changed our model a few years ago to, we thought we were going to play the game the way the big universities do with, buy big lists of names, and then students will find us on the internet. We didn't really find that to be successful. And we're the type of school to make sure that the counselors know what we do and how we do it, and they can decide which students we would be a good option for, but they need to know us. So we're out there. Rick is in the Chicagoland today with our other admissions counselor working in the Naperville area, and we're spending I think this month I'll have almost 8 days out in the field with the admissions counselors, talking to high school counselors or advisors about what can Lincoln College do for certain students in your school. And we found them pretty receptive, but they didn't really know sort of our sweet spot. And we've made sure that they do. Saying that, we still have to run the school. But what I found is there's very experienced people at Lincoln College who are dedicated and know what to do. They don't need me there micromanaging them on a daily basis. I need to help with making sure we manage our finances appropriately and use our resources and maximize our resources, and then get this enrollment thing under control, because the volatility of enrollment is more dangerous to us than actually each year what number we actually hit. We need to stabilize it so we can budget and plan. And we can't budget and plan long term till we get enrollment stabilized and know that we're going to have a certain number of students who have a real chance to succeed at our two campuses.
Great. Well, you mentioned the Chicagoland area, St. Louis, but I know numbers are up locally with commuters?
Absolutely, and we're really happy about that. Yeah, commuter students are up about 50% from a year ago.
Oh, great.
And I think that's partially because they've heard that we're focusing on behavior and I think that's important to families locally. But the other thing that has really helped us is the dual credit classes that we're providing at Lincoln High School and Illini Central. Now we have almost 70 students a year getting high school and college credit from a instructor who is qualified. And so they know Lincoln College a little bit before they ever leave high school. And that experience, I believe, is paying us great dividends and helping them, because, boy, to start college with 6 or 9 hours of credit and maybe have your first semester or first year of English out of the way, or math or science, what a great boost that is to the student.
Quantum leap.
Yeah.
From high school and starting college with a few academic credits there,
Right.
hours of credit.
Superintendent Bagby has been great to work with, and his staff, and they thought it was a great idea for their students. We thought it was a great idea and a way for us to bridge high school to Lincoln College in a local area. We've had one class now at Illini Central, and we'd like to expand that in the future, and that's an English class. So we'll see, but I think that's an opportunity for us with area schools that have some students that they have identified that will definitely want to go to college and would like to get a little bit of their freshman year out of the way while they're seniors in high school.
I wanted to add, I was just at the doctor's yesterday, and a student, she's a senior looking at Lincoln College to cheer, and she has 12 hours. And I think that's why one of the reasons she's going to come, the admission staff has contacted her, worked great, and we'll probably have 14 to 16. I didn't realize it would be that high coming in, that she'd probably go a year at Lincoln College, and she was super excited about that, coming in with that much under her belt.
Yeah, and that allows them to take some electives that they wouldn't have been able to take.
And enjoy,
and enjoy that, or if they're involved, as she is, in cheerleading or
volleyball,
or an athlete, again, they have a lot of other commitments, and so to be able to take a slightly, maybe less stressful schedule, because they have some credits coming in, is a real advantage. And so we're hoping that this program continues to be strong. And again, Lincoln High School has been terrific to work with. Which,
John, I'd like to take a tip of the fedora, the hat, to our admissions department. They've gone through some rather tumultuous times in recent years, and we've got a great number of really dedicated folks that are in that department, and we appreciate the fact that they're working and now they're working with renewed energy with the renewed administration and our leadership.
Yes.
They've
taken it with a new verve and enthusiasm.
Well, Rick Samuels has been a great addition. Rick was 25 years the head coach at Eastern in basketball, and he's sat across the table from parents who were being recruited. The student was being recruited by multiple schools, and had to tell his story of why they should come to Eastern. He is taking that skill set and now training and helping our admission counselors at both Normal and Lincoln learn how to tell their story and the Lincoln story in a way that causes students to pick us, because we're usually among other schools that they're looking at. And Rick's so mature and just a great leader. He's been in our advancement area for 6 years after he retired from Eastern, but he's bringing, I think, a special talent and skill set that is going to help these young admissions counselors. And for some reason in colleges, they all seem to be young.
Yeah.
And maybe they relate better to students. But as we were visiting the various high schools yesterday, we ran into other admissions counselors from other schools. We were at Hersey High School there in Arlington Heights, and the University of Kansas had their recruiter admissions counselor was there. And he was probably 26, 27 years old, bright young guy. And I think that those colleges have found that students respond well to that younger, recent graduate The guy I was with yesterday from our staff, Torley, is a Lincoln College grad. Great story. He has a terrific story to tell. He came here from Denmark to Barrington High School as a junior. Did not speak English. Took the ACT, didn't score as high as his real knowledge level because he was trying to do it in English.
Right.
Sure.
And so he didn't get in the university he wanted to get in. So he came to Lincoln College and he played soccer and learned the English language. He speaks it like the King's English now. Speaks it better than I do. But
That's really interesting.
he also, after his great experience at Lincoln College, and he says, gave me a chance, then he went on to Bradley, which was his goal originally, and got his degree from Bradley. So he's out there telling high school students his story,
right.
what Lincoln College did for him, and you can see them, they're very focused when he's talking about that. Well, you get into the greater Chicago area, which we get some of our students from, certainly. You know, there are all kinds of sort of neighborhoods. There's where the predominant language is Polish, or it could be, you know, Hispanic, or it could be whatever. Some maybe in certain neighborhoods, some Asian. They get it, that it's hard to take then the American ACT and score highly, and there's a place that might, because these are bright kids. I mean, they're really bright. They just struggle on that testing level because of the language barrier.
Right.
You know, Angie, the clock has done that which we do not like to have happen. Excuse me, please. I get all choked up when I sit next to this girl. Sitting next to this girl gets me all choked up. Of a serious note, a very serious note, we appreciate your taking your time to come with us, President Blackburn. As I say, you have some really important things to do day in and day out. Your day is pretty full. And one of the things, by the way, just a little quick aside, folks, is that the President also takes time out of his busy schedule the first Wednesday of the month, and we kind of get together, trustees that are local and so forth. Not a meeting per se, but just to sit down and visit with what's going on the campus. That's a great exchange, and we appreciate you taking your time for that, too. We meet at a place called the Blue Dog. You might have heard of that.
I have.
It's right down there on Sangamon Street.
Yeah.
We always try to close with a quote, and I found this one about education. And it says, if the cost of college tuition continues to rise, education is about going to be as expensive as ignorance. On that note, thank you, Angie Whiteman, very much for being with us this morning, dear. It's an addition. We appreciate that very much. And we'd like to remind you that we're back on next week. Judy will be back from Oofda land. Real quickly, John, I wanted to mention one thing. We're going to honor a local boy here next May, the Honorable Judge Connect. Jim Connect is a local boy, and he's going to receive an honorary degree from Lincoln College and be our speaker. And we're looking forward to that very much. So on behalf of Viewpoint, Angie, do you have anything you'd like to sign off with, my dear?
You know what? I do. Real quick, Lori Muck called earlier, our call-in, and we wanted to add that submarine was the USS San Francisco, and a big thing they need are loofahs and baby powder. Who knew? So that was in addition to our call-in early.
Baby powder, yeah.
Loofahs as well. So that's, again, the drop-off points for the Logan County Bank, State Bank of Lincoln, and, of course, Muck Law offices. So wanted to add, thank you for having me, President Blackburn. Great chatting with you.
I told you she's more than a pretty face. Thank you for Viewpoint.